Hello and welcome to ThePrint's Live. Today we are discussing the main topic of the day, which is, will the agitation by the doctors improve their safety and India's medical profession? And I am Himani, I cover health for ThePrint, and I would like you to send all your questions, queries about the ongoing agitation of doctors across the country. In between, I will give you some of the background of the agitation that is happening across the country. Today, more than 3.5 lakh doctors across the country are on strike. They are protesting against the incidents in West Bengal, where junior doctors of NRS hospital were injured after an attack by the relatives of the patient who died. Doctors across the country have shown solidarity. While all the OPDs are suspended today, but emergency services are not affected. Of course, elective surgeries and also diagnostic tests have been called off. Doctors in emergency department of many hospitals have shown silent protest. For example, in AIMS, doctors are working while wearing black strips and helmets. What is the demand? So the demand is the creation of a centrally enabled law to protect them from the violence. Such violences which have been happening since last many years, since decades, and it's not just the India formula. This has been happening across the globe. So whenever a patient dies or doctor is accused of a wrong treatment, the patient family sometimes attack the doctor. So they want protection against such violences. They say we are in the noble profession and there should be some act which protects us against these kind of violences. So according to IMA is country's apex medical association, which is represented by 3.5 lakh doctors across the country. According to the internal survey of IMA, nearly 75% doctors in India have faced some kind of violence. It can be abuse, it can be threat, it can be physical harm, and the cases are increasing. So the demand is stringent law to stop these kind of practices where a patient family or anybody in the hospital takes the liberty to give it back to the doctor, to thrash the doctor. So what is the demand? What they want in the law? They want government to come out with a law, central government specifically, because otherwise 19 states have already a law in the place but does nothing. It's not implemented well. They want a centrally enabled law implemented well to protect hospitals so that doctors can feel safe in the hospital. The demand is to create safe zones for them, penalize the harassers, install CCTV cameras in hospitals, enable provisions of adequate compensations in case the harm has been caused to the doctor. So this is the background, and today there was a very important meeting which doctors wanted to make it happen since last many days. This strike started last Tuesday, and the demand was to meet Mamta Banerjee because the root cause of this issue started in West Bengal. So today this high profile meeting between the doctors and Mamta Banerjee happened, and it concluded on a note that Mamta Banerjee has promised the doctors that their demands will be taken up. COP will be the security in charge at every hospital. Doctors will get more details about whatever the meetings, whatever the pointers they have discussed in the meeting, and Mamta Banerjee has assured them to come out with a proper, probably they have not said that they will come out a law, but they have said that they will definitely take actions against the assault. And finally, Mamta has ensured to address the concerns of the doctors today. Otherwise, the nationwide strike, which started today, will finish today. It was a 24-hour strike, so doctors will be back in the OPDs tomorrow. In between, if in case you have some questions, I'm open to take your questions. Do send your questions to me. I'm waiting for that. Okay, so I'll be getting the questions soon. In between, I will I will tell you again that more than 3.5 lakh doctors across the country are on strike today. Some are sitting on dharnas outside the hospitals, outside the associations, while other doctors are silently working in hospitals' emergency rooms. For instance, in AIMS, they are wearing black strips, helmets to show the solidarity with the hospitals with the doctors in West Bengal. There have been several cases of violence against these doctors in the last few years, and whenever we talk to them and ask that this has been happening for so many years, but why protest now? They say that this has come to a point now where we can't take, enough is enough, and government has to finally come out with a law which protects us. After all, doctor also has a dignity. They say that if in case these kind of attacks against us will continue, after a point we will stop taking the cases which are really critical. Because they say that we are not magicians, and after all, anybody who is coming to a hospital and there is an end to a life written, after a point we can't do anything and the person has to die. This doesn't mean that we have done anything wrong, or the patient family should not hold us accountable, and at least should not give it back to us by thrashing us or abusing us or doing any violent act against us. So do send me your questions, and if you think that this kind of a law to ensure the safety for doctors will help us in getting the India's healthcare system fixed. So we have got a question from Aditi Sharma who says that, has the Indian Medical Association given the statement on this yet? No, Indian Medical Association hasn't given the statement on this yet, because as we started the live, the doctors who met Mamata Banerjee just left that place. So I'm sure when the doctors will go back and they will tell the IMA representatives, and they will discuss this in detail, that what has happened in the meeting, what were the questions, what were the suggestions, what were the discussions, what was accepted, what was rejected. I'm sure after that IMA will send a press release, or will decide that what to do next. Presently, even there is no clarity whether the doctors in West Bengal will stop the protest, or it will or they will decide to carry forward till the point the government finally comes up with something in written, a kind of a written assurance. Okay. We have got another question from Shanti Kumar, who asks, how could security be provided to doctors? As I told you, security can be provided to doctors by making hospitals a safe zone. Presently, as many number of people can enter the government hospital as much they want. So probably we need to put a cap on the number of people who can accompany the patient, and then of course by installing the CCTV cameras in hospital, by strictly penalizing the people who do any violent act against the doctor, and by having adequate provisions to compensate the doctor which was harmed by the patient's relative or anybody at the hospital. By doing all these measures, we can actually create a kind of a fear in mind of people who plan to thrash doctor or give it back to them. And there is by Nigel, who says, doesn't striking by doctors go against the Hippocratic oath? Of course it goes, and the doctor says that this Hippocratic oath bind us. And when we even feel that the patient's family is getting angry with us or they are shouting, we try and remain calm with them. It doesn't mean that we don't feel angry, but the point is that we all need to consider that India faces the shortage of doctors. As per the WHO guideline, one doctor is supposed to look to 1,000 patients. But in India, the ratio is far more than that. The ratio is one doctor in India looks after at least 11,000 patients. This means that doctor is also distributed between not just 1,000 patients, but between 11,000 patients. Hence, the doctor is binded by the oath But if in case there will be no law, then I'm sure, as the doctors have told me, that we will stop touching the critical cases where the morbidity, where the death of the patient is almost ensured, because we don't want the patient's family to come back and strike us. We have another question. Is there a law that prevents doctors from striking? Should there be? Of course. The entire controversy is about, there is a law which is a state law in 19 states, but no law has been implemented so far. Nothing, no case has been registered, nothing seriousness. No seriousness has been shown. So now the point is, the doctors want centrally enabled act, the act by the central government which can be implemented and executed well. Another question is from Arpit Kuval. Have there been assurances given about some proper system for assuring safety of the doctors in the emergency rooms? Of course, assurances have been given. Today only Mamata Banerjee has given the assurance. We have been getting the assurance from Union Minister Harshvardhan as well. But the doctor association, doctors, everybody now wants the concrete assurance, which is the written assurance. So we are hoping for something good to happen. We are hoping that all the demands that the doctors have made will be considered wisely by the government, and soon we may see some security measures coming up in the healthcare system. Thank you so much. Signing off.